Hello, everybody. Welcome to Career Parkway, where we talk about hope, grit, and what you can learn from your footprint. My name is Karen Parker. I'm a career coach. I'm here to talk about the concept of Career Parkway, which is a career design that's a blend of resilience, determination, and lasting impact. If you would like additional information or are interested in a free initial consultation, come visit me at www.careerparkway.com. In the meantime, if you have any questions about Career Parkway model, the just job searching for careers, put it in the comments down below. Hit like and subscribe while you're there. The previous episode, we talked a little bit about hope. Let's talk about grit. When I first heard about the concept of grit, I actually did some research on the word grit to see if it had a positive connotation. To me, gritty was dirty or grungy, gritty, and I don't know why. So I did some research on the word grit and what people's impressions of it were. There was a previous movement regarding grit following a book and some TED Talks by Angela Duckworth, worth a listen and a read. Most definitely. So grit, when she defines it, is passion and perseverance. You get to a point where you're working towards your goal, such as obtaining a position, and you have the determination to keep going even when you're coming up against obstacles and roadblocks. You're treating those differently than you would where a lot of people hit those roadblocks and then stop or give up and then go off and do something different. Having researched grit and listened to these TED Talks, to me, it's about effort. A lot of people these days are into the quick answer, the quick turnaround, instant gratification. When they hit a roadblock, they'll just tend to veer off and then go off and do something else. When a person has a high level of grit, they're not going to be the person that just veers off when they hit that roadblock and just stop. They're going to be the ones that say, what's my workaround? Do I go under, over, left, right? What can I learn from this? Do I do a more circuitous route? But they recognize that effort is needed to keep going towards the goal and to not just stop on short term. Now, this works hand in hand with hope, in that hope is recognizing that something can be different and taking the action towards making something better. Combine that with grit, and grit's going to take that action of making something better from the hope, and it's going to let you keep going. It's going to give you the perseverance, or building the interest in the perseverance towards reaching a long-term goal as opposed to even just a short-term goal. Now, that's not to say that with everything in the ever-changing market that you wouldn't want to take turns and or adjust. It's recognizing that you can put in the effort, or that you want to put in the effort towards reaching your goal. One of the elements of grit is constant development. I talk a lot about today's job market and the fact that you have to remain relevant and employable because of all the changing technology. Jobs are changing because jobs are changing so rapidly. So grit is combining the constant development and staying on top of your game as far as what you want to do for a job or a career. One of the best quotes from Angela Duckworth that I really liked: it's easy to persevere if you doing what you like, which all ties back to everything that we do as a career coach. We do assessments and we take a look at people's interests, and we always say, with your strength, that quote, if you do what you really like, you're not working, or that's your last day of working. Do what you really like and you're not going to feel like it's work. So to an extent, that is true. Tying grit in with careers means that you need to find what that passion, what that interest is, and build on that with the grit and the hope blended together. And because you have such an intense interest on what it is that you want to do, the effort that you're going to need to reach the goal isn't going to seem as much work, and the interest that you get as well from having this, doing what you want, finding your passion and doing what you want, isn't going to seem like such an effort. Constant development is going to be almost natural because it's piqued your interest. You really like it. So as you read more and more, that constant development is something that, because it becomes interesting to you, that constant development isn't such a chore. Grit, like hope, is something that everybody has to a certain extent. How low or how high your grit is can be based on life experiences, varied interest. It can, just like hope, it can be measured, it can be grown so that you can foster a higher level of growth. You can measure your level of grit and then work towards increasing the grit so that it's at a higher level along with what you're doing with hope. You want to have that higher level of grit. What happens when your grit is low versus when your grit is high? When the grit is low, the effort is going to seem so much more to you than the reward. You're going to tend to stop, or like a New Year's resolution, most of those last like 30, 60 days. High level of grit helps to build optimism. It helps to instill confidence. You come across as a much more confident person. It helps your creativity because you are more apt to, or because you're going to have that confidence to try something new, and you're also going to be able to say, okay, let's go ahead and try this and just kind of and see how things come out, which is another element, which leads us to the other element of grit when grit is high, which is courage. Courage is the ability to manage your fear of failure. Everybody fails. A gritty person will take that failure and learn from it instead of burying it and say, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is so embarrassing, which leads to the endurance of it. Because the fall off the horse, you pick yourself up and you get back onto the horse, that's grit. You have the endurance to keep going despite hitting those obstacles or despite having that failures. And grit will also lead you to think through what led to you falling off the horse and putting the corrections in place so that you don't fall off the horse again, unless, of course, you make another mistake. So, in essence, grit is a commitment to take action, and when it's done, to take that action further, to put in the extra effort. It's effort times 2. When I say effort times 2, that can sound exhausting to a lot of people because you're like, well, you're telling me just simply that I need to work harder. Yes, in a way. However, when you are gritty or when you have that high level of grit, you're pursuing a passion, an interest, something that you've really always wanted to do, something that you're very highly interested in. And so the point of being high on that level of grit and having that passion combined with the effort and the perseverance puts you in a position where that extra effort doesn't seem as laborious. The effort, even though you're putting in twice the effort, it doesn't feel like you're putting in that effort. Kind of compare it to someone who exercises. You have the group of people that like really hate to exercise, which would be me, or the ones that really love to exercise, who really go to the gym, who work out, etc. They're doing something that interests them to achieve a goal. So the effort that they're putting in going to the gym and their commitment to it doesn't seem like that big a deal to them because they like doing it. Where those of us that hate it will find any excuse or other things to do before we hit the gym. And then when we're there, we're not having that great a time. That is the impact of the level of interest has on what you do. So the effort, when you compare the effort from the first group to the effort that the second group put in, the second group is going to feel that they have to put in so much more effort to get whatever the exercise benefit that they get, where the other one is just so much into enjoying the exercise and doing the exercise because they like it. They can put in the same amount of effort, but it won't seem like they're working out. It won't seem to them that they're putting in the same level of effort. As a matter of fact, if you're doing something like that, exercising, and you're like really into it, you're probably going to tend to naturally increase what it is that you do because you have that level of enjoyment. So as you can see, all in all, grit Grit actually has a very positive connotation. All in all, grit has a very positive connotation to it. And the more that I read about it, particularly when I started blending it with the principles of hope, the more I was interested in learning about it and working with the concept and coming up with the Career Parkway. We talked about hope, and then we talked about grit. The third element is the footprint, which we will talk about next time. In the meantime, obey the rules of the road.